Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 4 of this 4-part video series. My name is Benjamin Selby-Hele. I'm a leadership through lifestyle coach at I Choose Awesome, and I help young leaders make a difference in the world. Now, how'd we go after part 3? How'd we go setting those personal ambitions? It's really, really important you make them crystal clear so that you've got something there that acts as motivational fuel, so that you know where it is that you're going, so no matter what challenges present themselves, you've still got the intestinal fortitude and the focus to keep pushing forward over those hurdles. It's sometimes easier said than done, so you need everything in your corner that you can get. So really develop those ambitions. All right, today, in the 4th video, we're going to be talking about where you're currently at and where you're going. At the conclusion of today's video, I want you to have a set of your own personal KPIs by which you can measure your progress or your lack thereof progress. From a life self-evaluation point, we're going to establish exactly where you're at now in different fields of your life and what your KPIs are for success, what determines success in each one of those fields. It's obviously imperatively important for us to understand where we're at any given point and where we're working towards so that we can see how we're progressing accordingly. If we don't implement these things that we're going to be speaking about today, well, you sort of end up wandering aimlessly. You don't know where you're at any given point. So you've got no grasp on the progress that you've made, or if in fact you're actually backtracking. And then essentially you become like everyone else, just wandering aimlessly. In order to get to that position of esteem, that position of influence and become that leader, you need to be driven. You need to understand your KPIs. What are your measurements for success according to you? And then work on engaging in those actions daily in order to get those desired results. So if we take this information that I'm presenting today and apply it to the full degree, well, the results can be really, really profound. I've had some clients that have achieved great success that I'm going to speak about a little bit later by actually just taking accountability for what it is that they need to do and understanding what it is that they need to do, then doing it. You develop a laser focus. You know exactly where it is that you're going and what units you're measuring it by, and you work to them. And in saying that, you can identify weaknesses and work on those weaknesses so that you become stronger across the board. You become like the Usain Bolt of your company. Usain Bolt's a great example. He's one of the guys that I look up to. He's a great leader. But the definition for him is really quite simple of success and failure. He simply wants to go fast. Everything that he does, all his training, is all about going fast and beating that time. They're his KPIs for success and failure. The seconds on the clock, how fast he can go or how fast he didn't go. So you're going to become like the Usain Bolt of your company. So let's talk about the principles that we need to apply in order to develop strong KPIs and assess where we're at now. Firstly, you need to become brutally honest with yourself. When you do your evaluation that's attached below, you need to be brutally honest with the numbers. Give yourself a score in those numbers from 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0 being the least best. But be brutally honest. Think of like the coach or the teacher. The coach or the teacher throughout the course of your life that had the biggest influence on you. Chances are they were the most toughest on you as well. They told you how it was. You need to develop great objective awareness and perspective so that you can be brutally honest with the numbers and get a true sense of where you're at. Once you've assessed where you're at, then you need to develop humility, and you need to always have that humility etched within you. That works hand in hand with being brutally honest. Concede when you don't get it right. I recently saw Conor McGregor. He's a UFC fighter, pretty famous. You probably know him, but he suffered his first loss, and he's a bit of a showman. He speaks a lot in the lead up to the fights, and he's quite boisterous. And he was just like he was in all his fights in the lead up to this one, but he lost. But then afterwards, he was already analysing where he went wrong. He conceded he didn't perform well enough and his opponent was better on the day and took it on the chin. You need to develop humility. As a leader, it's so important to have that essence of humility because you're not going to get it right all the time. Concede when you get it wrong and then work with other people's strengths in areas perhaps where you're not as strong. Once you're starting to develop that humility and you've understood exactly where you're at and you've got brutally honest with yourself, then we need to establish indicators. So with each one of the areas in your self-evaluation, develop a 10 out of 10 scenario. So what does a 10 out of 10 look like for you in each one of those areas? Develop your own criteria and then turn it into actionable actions. So what actions are going to allow you to reach a 10 out of 10? Develop those KPIs. They're really so important. So you need to develop those KPIs and then work towards them. Work towards that implementation each day, applying it accordingly as to each one of those areas, but particularly from a work standpoint because we're wanting to achieve that leadership position. The final principle is in conjunction with that. You need that dogged determination. So think about it in terms of I just need to do this action to achieve this result. These are my KPIs. This is success. This is failure. There's no in between. Become governed and success-based, or result-based rather. That dogged determination like the Steve Jobs era at Apple. They wanted to create the best products, the coolest looking products, functional and aesthetically pleasing. And that was their sole purpose, the most successful era of the company. They just had that dogged determination to do what needed to be done every single day. I had a client of mine when I was working in the gyms. His name was Shane. And throughout my time in the gym, we ran various challenges, 12-week challenges, to see who could reduce their body fat the most over the course of 12 weeks. Anyway, he partook this first year. And he was a guy who was working in a company for a long period of time, for many years. And he wasn't unfit, but he'd never really applied the principles we're talking about now and that measured focus on his training. So he lapped up all the information we spoke about. We measured our clients at the start. We helped them set ambitions. We measured their body fat, their weight, etc. And they had to work in conjunction, obviously, with getting healthier, work towards achieving their ambitions as well. And for the first time, Shane actually started thinking about, what these KPIs meant and where he wanted to go with his life. He established that, he started to realise he did have the skill set to be able to achieve well in this challenge. And furthermore, that built up and gave him more confidence in then going out and achieving one of his ambitions, which was starting his own business. So throughout the course of that 12 weeks, he really built in confidence and gathered a head of steam. At the culmination of the 12 weeks, he ended up winning the challenge. He reduced his body fat down to like 6%, and it's put the wheels in motion to fulfill one of his ambitions to start his own business. A phenomenal effort. But it wasn't until he had that accountability in place where there were clear lines for success and failure, where there were clear lines for success and failure before he could actually, achieve this himself. It was always there, but he just needed those KPIs as a catalyst. So I want you to ask yourself, why are these KPIs? Why do you want these KPIs for yourself? Why are they so important? What are they going to help you achieve? It's really important to consider that. Because as I said, the 4 parts, these 4 videos that you've had the privilege of seeing, they set the precedent for the rest of your leadership journey. As I said, they're only the first 4 parts in our 60-part Future Leader Blueprint. So how is it that you're going to set the precedent now? You've learnt about setting your values and you understand their importance with your leadership. You've moved on from there and you're developing relationships with your boss and the superiors, and you're growing in confidence. You're on the leadership radar now. You've set definitive personal ambitions that are going to serve as your focus, as your motivation. And how are they going to continue to keep you motivated? And lastly, in today's video, you've established those KPIs. You've looked at the areas you need to focus on. You're developing that humility. You've developed those concise indicators. And then you're prepared to apply that dogged determination. So now you're in a state of knowledge. You're not in ignorance anymore. So what's the next step? What is it that you're going to do? My job is to help you make great decisions. I help carve and cultivate the leaders that are going to make a difference well into the future. You need to ask yourself the question though, do you want to be a leader who makes a difference? Do you want to get recognised by management as a future leader? Do you want to assume that leadership position and receive the pay rise and the title and everything that goes with it? But underpinning all that, do you care enough to want to make a difference? The choice is simple. Is it a leader or a follower? If you want to make that difference, the next step's easy. Below you'll see a link, or you'll see the actual form, an online form that you can fill out. If you don't have the form there, click the link and fill out the form online after clicking that link. Once you've filled that in, one of our representatives will get in contact with you for a free 60-minute leadership strategy session, which is designed to really help continue your leadership journey with a head of steam. Really help get you identified as a future leader of your company and get that pay rise as quickly as possible. But it's all up to you. As I said at the start and I'll say at the finish, the choice is yours. Are you a follower or are you a leader? I'm looking forward to those of you that want to be the leaders of tomorrow that make the difference. My name's Benjamin Selby-Hele. Keep choosing awesome in the interim, and I look forward to seeing you soon.